Where does your knowledge come from? In this video, we're going to be taking a look at empiricism. And by the end of the video, you're going to know what the empiricist philosophers say about where knowledge comes from. And you're going to be able to make your own mind up about whether they get it right or wrong. And we're going to get going on that right now. Hi guys, my name's Mark Jago. I'm a philosophy professor. We're going to get to grips with empiricism. In a previous video, we went over rationalism, and you always kind of find rationalism and empiricism discussed together because they're kind of like opposites. It's always rationalism versus empiricism. So to make best sense of this video, you might want to go and look at that rationalism video. Okay, so what are we talking about here? We're basically talking about epistemology. We're talking about how we get knowledge of the world and what justifies that knowledge, what justifies our beliefs. Empiricists have a particular take on that. And you can think of this as like they take as their model the empirical sciences, or at least a kind of a sort of classical understanding of the empirical sciences. So whereas rationalists would take a priori mathematics as their model for how we gain knowledge, empiricists are saying, no, it's much more like the kind of thing that we do in the sciences. We kind of observe the world, we theorize about the world, we make predictions about the world, we check those predictions, and that's the way we always gain knowledge. Now, there's different kind of strands of empiricist thinking. Empiricists say different things, and there's different kind of strengths of empiricism. So one of the classic forms of empiricism that we find in John Locke is the idea that there are no innate ideas. Locke spends the entire first book of his essay concerning human understanding arguing that there are no such things as innate ideas. We don't have any innate ideas. That is to say that we are not born with any kind of preconceived ideas in our minds, of God or of anything else. Locke describes the mind as a tabula rasa, a blank slate, like a blank piece of paper, and all of our thoughts, all of our beliefs, all of our knowledge has to come through our experience and our reflection on that experience. Empiricists aren't saying, ideas, sensations just flow in and that's our knowledge. Obviously not, right? Obviously we have to reflect on that experience and see how it all kind of fits together, but ultimately it's all coming from experience and reflection on an experience. There aren't any preconceived innate ideas in there. Okay, so that's kind of one way in which the rationalism, empiricism debate kind of went historically. Are there any such things as innate ideas? Like, do we have an innate idea of God or ourselves or personhood or whatever? In contemporary philosophy, I guess innate ideas aren't quite such a big issue. It's kind of pretty obvious that we want to explain our concepts, our thoughts in terms of like something to do with what's going on in the brain, and that has to be explained scientifically, naturalistically, so kind of spooky innate ideas are kind of out. But still, this debate between rationalism and empiricism is a live one if we're thinking about issues like, well, how do we know about ethical truths? How do we know about like modal truths, mathematical truths? How do we get the idea of objecthood, right? How do we kind of like go from just there's a bit of color and a bit of shape and a bit of size over there to, oh, look, there's an object over there. Where does that kind of stuff come from? And rationalists might say, well, a lot of that knowledge comes from sort of a priori principles. We can work that out a priori without experiencing that stuff. Empiricists are saying somehow we have to extract that kind of concept out of the experience of the world that we get. And for someone who's an empiricist right across the board, that has to apply to mathematical knowledge, modal knowledge of not just how things are, but how they could have been, to ethical knowledge, like knowledge of what is the right thing to do and of where those ethical truths come from. Philosophy is full of difficult terminology and difficult concepts. Here on the Philosophy Glossary, we are trying to make sense of all of them in a simple and short way. If you want to see more videos like this, go and take a look at this playlist up here. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, thank you so much to my Ko-Fi supporters for making this content possible. I hope to see you guys back here soon.